Start.
Rock concert movement number 1. The basic head bob. Ready, go.
Just turning these headphones to mono. All right. It's 1:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. Brad Shaw with you here, hanging out. TheBradShawShow.com, Webcast One Live. They host our studios here. And beautiful kaleidoscope at the hub. We'll just leave it at that. Vacancy is available. Email radiobradshaw@gmail.com and follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. All right. Past few weeks we've talked about, what are Republicans going to do when they lose, and at least as things look now, lose bad this election. I believe we have the answer. Yeah, think of it like the election day is like a homemade M60. Anyone else do that when they were kids? Dan, did you ever make your own pyrotechnics? Again, this is what I get for using bulletin board systems and downloading the Anarchist Cookbook.
Yeah, I almost got arrested for that once.
Yeah, true story. My cousin made a potato gun. And this was before I had never heard of such a thing. This was we're talking like 20 years ago. Go out to a field or, with just a can of Aquanet, an igniter and some PVC pipe. I guess someone called the cops because one of West Des Moines' finest comes rolling up on us. And it's like, what do you got there? Because he had no idea what a potato gun was. Oh, it's a potato flinger. Really? Tell me. Oh, it just, lobs like a potato, like 20 yards, 20 feet. It's just a potato flinger. Oh, carry on then. And pretty soon, back to firing the cannon. But election day, think of it like a homemade M80. The fuse is lit. And the fuse was lit as soon as it started to become clear to non-reality denying conservatives. This was not going to go their way. Now, again, some of us were saying this a year ago, after the Iowa straw poll and moving into caucus season, looking at, the clown car of candidates. This was not a presidential year, but they still held high hope for winning back the Senate and strengthening their hold on the House. And now it doesn't look like any of those things are going to happen. The fuse is lit. We know that it's going to go boom. We don't know where all the pieces of shrapnel will land, right? We don't know that G.I. Joe guy that looks a lot like Mitt Romney that's strapped. Not that anyone of us would do this because, man, Flint deserves better. Like, we don't know where the Kung Fu grip is going to land. We just know that an explosion is coming, and some of us just kind of want to sit back and watch the fireworks. We're getting some more idea about that. The wine brigade is out. It has nothing to do with crushed grapes. Part of the reason we're seeing that is, again, we talked about this yesterday. At some point, it's not just Obama getting lucky that all of his opponents seem to self-detonate. There's more to it. We'll talk about that. A casino in Urbandale. Yeah, we'll put that on the list of things that will never happen.
That sounds great.
No.
I have to drive to Prairie Meadows.
As someone who lives near the Golf Dome, no.
Oh, come on.
No.
That Golf Dome is awesome. It'd make a great casino.
Well, their plans, again, it's a non-starter. It's never going to happen. Do I have to play like the Chasing Amy? Here's the Easter Bunny. Here's Santa. You remember that scene?
Sure.
All right. Here's an Urbandale casino. Which one? They don't. They're figments of your imagination.
They had an adult bookstore, which I couldn't believe. Of course, it didn't last.
What?
Yeah, they used to have an adult bookstore. It was called...
Dr. John.
Dr. John.
That just kind of moved in the middle of the night, and no one ever went there.
Yeah, well, they thought it was an upscale lingerie store, and it turned out it was a porn store.
Yeah, it was just a porn store with kind of a classier facade in the hopes that Suburban soccer moms will buy their Trojan twisters.
Yeah, except that Trojan literally sells those at Walmart now, so there's really no need to go to Dr. John's.
Unless you want like a specialty item.
Because you're already slumming it up by going to Walmart.
When you need the specialty item, this is why like Porn in the Corn exists. That adult bookstore near Newton, just off the, because you can go. No one's going to recognize you.
Are you talking about the Lion's Den?
Or what? I don't know what it's called. I just call it Porn in the Corn.
Okay.
And you go to, places that aren't near your home because you don't know if, like, the superintendent of the school district's going to be over at Casey's getting gas and see your minivan pull up to the Urbandale dirty bookstore.
Yeah, it wasn't very discreet. I would have thought they would have found a more discreet location or even discreet parking.
Yeah, I mean, if they put it back like where Beer Crazy was,
nobody would know.
Then that's more likely. But you don't poop where you eat. You're not going to go, where your neighbors might end up. Or, hey, we're walking out of Taco John's and, hey, isn't that, Tammy Faye's, Aztec there in the parking lot? Ha, ha, ha. So no,
well, it is appropriate to poop after eating Taco John's, so.
You don't really have a choice in the matter.
No.
Really, the only question is location. Timing is out of your hands and all of that. But, an Urbandale casino isn't going to happen. But we'll talk about that. But first, and this is like a Reese's peanut butter type of story. It's two great tastes that go great together. And this is kind of the FYIGM meets the only moral X is my X. And what I mean, FYIGM is pretty self-explanatory. Bleep you, I got mine. Mixed with the only moral, like, I hate socialism. Don't touch my Medicare. Right? 47% of the people are moochers and feel entitled to food and shelter. Meanwhile, the $1.5 billion that I got to save the Olympic Games is absolutely right and moral and wonderful. Not a new phenomenon.
So are you saying there should be kind of some universal moral standard?
Sure, as soon as someone invents one, which as of yet hasn't been.
But who could invent one that you wouldn't dislike some point of?
Probably the United Nations.
Yeah, probably not.
That Security Council veto thing.
See, but I don't like it, so that's not going to work for universe. It'd be weird if we just went back to like the Bible or something. I don't know. Crazy.
I want to go back to like, I don't know, Ra.
Ra.
Yeah.
The sun god?
Amun-Ra, yeah.
Yeah, except that Ra existed after the Bible, so we could actually go back.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I know, but see that's because you're denying the fact that there was still a literal Israel back in the time of Egypt, which is kind of weird. Because how else do we get the pyramids without explaining that Israel was enslaved by Egypt?
Actually, modern day archaeologists don't believe that it was slave labor, and in fact, they've been searching the areas around Egypt, looking, because how many Israelites fled Egypt?
I don't know off the top of my head.
1,000.
Sure, at least.
They would leave stuff behind. Dude, think of a Lollapalooza walking through the desert. They would leave signs.
I think there probably are, but
so far we haven't found them. So maybe we're not looking hard enough.
Here's the deal, though. You're getting modern archaeology confused with what's been accepted universally as truth for thousands of years that this happened.
But in that latter group includes things like demons cause sickness and the sun disappears and the earth is flat. Those stars in the skies are actually holes in the celestial bearer.
Having new knowledge revealed doesn't really necessarily mean that they were wrong about everything. I mean, I don't know that actually if you read Genesis, a reasonable person would think the world was flat. I would understand it to be a globe from the Genesis account.
Phone's ringing.
Yeah, I hear it. Sorry.
Frankly, I think Peter Gabriel has as much to teach us, Phil Collins and the like. But anyway, neither here nor there. First, let's get with the FYIGM. And it all started last night with Monday Night Football. I got to admit, I wasn't watching. I was watching Runs of Dead. When Skyler shows up, it blew my mind. But I'm checking Twitter while I'm doing this, and I see, nonstop bitching about the replacement refs. I guess on Sunday night's game on ESPN, the crowd was so unhappy with the refs that it's the family friend. There were mass exclamations of a common component of bovine digestion. What's that? Loud. Like, loud enough that, because again, most times when a stadium will do that, they'll kind of turn down the crowd mics. So you're just going by what the announcers are picking up in the booth, and they're up and away, and they're usually using the headsets that are set to kind of drown out outside noise, so you can hear them. You could hear it clear as day. Then came last night. It was Packers, Seahawks, Monday Night Football. And this was the final... Stand off the phone. The final play of the game. Can we cue this up? This is how Monday Night Football ended, for those of you that missed it. And by missing it, I mean the refs involved. Because especially, it's a Hail Mary, but watch... We'll do my best Dan Patrick here, all right? Someone, I don't know, some quarterback guy, goes back, runs around a little bit. All right, chuck the ball. There we go. Thank you very much. Comes down. Watch the refs. Who's got the ball? I don't know. What do you say on the left? Touchdown. No, wait, interception. You got two refs calling it two different ways. The root of the issue is this. This is not a strike by NFL officials. It's a lockout. The NFL, a $9 billion a year business. I mean, it's hard to comprehend. Is looking to save approximately $5 million. 0.05% by rearranging the retirement plans for NFL refs. So they have been locked out. In their place, we have replacement refs, who I'm not kidding. This came out about 12:30 last night. Refs who were fired by the Lingerie Football League. For those of you like myself that don't utilize the pay-per-view on your cable box, the Lingerie Football League is pretty much exactly as described. It's women in underwear playing a version of football. Again, going after the Reese's Pieces mold, or the Reese's Cup mold. Assuming that, hey, guys love football, guys love women in their underwear, let's put the two together. Thank God they didn't add competitive eating to the list, or things would get really out of hand. These guys were too bad for the Lingerie Football League and are now reffing NFL games due to the lockout. And we saw last night, the Green Bay Packers get jobbed on that. It was somewhere between regular NFL officiating and, oh my God, Bobby the Brain Heenan has come out with a folding chair. Hulk Hogan's really in for it now, but the referee's looking the other way. Did you watch wrestling as a kid? Come on.
Yeah. I caught your reference.
It's somewhere there, more towards the Bobby the Brain Heenan.
It's like they didn't know Jake the Snake had a snake in the sack.
Oh my God, who could have known? The referee has to turn around, but he's being distracted by Macho Man Randy Savage. It was professional wrestling level last night. Get along the comedy.
The good news, the silver lining in this, though, it's just the Packers.
Well, true. Yeah, I'm a Chicago sports fan via osmosis from watching Channel 9.
See, I knew you loved God. Everybody knows the Bears are the God's team.
Really? Is that why Urlacher was sacking Paris Hilton for a while?
Yeah, I don't know that that's got anything to do with it, but it does show that he can get some
Besides, that's probably an argument for my side. 2 words: Rex Grossman. Unleash the dragon.
Hey, look, if you don't want to be a fan of God's team...
And on the 7th day, God said, screw it, I'm going deep.
Wow, you're so going down.
It doesn't exist. Anyway, point being is now after this widely televised, widely talked about, you're now seeing, and yes, I do see a special irony in a Wisconsin team being screwed in a labor dispute. Even Scott Walker and Paul Ryan now have called for real NFL refs to come in, end this lockout. And again, if I'm the head of the the officials union, I'm just sitting back waiting for calls today. But seeing the outrage over a simple football play, when FYIGM fails, as it tends to do, it is fun to watch. One thing people need to realize, the same thing that is going on with the NFL refs, which is, screw you, we're the job creators, and you will do as we say, is not a novel concept, is not something that's just in the sports world. The NHL is facing a lockout, but since none of us are Canadian, no one really talks about it much.
Frankie Mink does.
Frank Mink does talk hockey, and I've tried to fix that.
Good luck with that.
Of him, but yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Point is, we don't live near a Tim Hortons, so we don't really care about the NHL being locked out. We do care, as a people, a great deal about the NFL. And just the fact that, and I would love to know the numbers on this, the number of people who bitch about teachers' unions, supported Scott Walker stripping the right to collectively bargain, union busting, whether, AE was on strike for a day, bitching and moaning.
Yeah, they couldn't get milk to my sister's coffee shop. It was a disaster.
But we've seen this in various industries, lockouts and strikes. Chicago public schools were facing it. I just wonder how many people who were, shaking their fists. Darn you, union workers. And I understand most of that is simply, these people have a better deal than I do. I see myself as above them. Therefore, they are horrible, bad, go Scott Walker. Are now bitching that scab referees screwed them over as a result of a labor dispute. And we see both Paul Ryan and Scott Walker. I mean, come on. 2 incredibly anti-union guys. Scott Walker came in and, almost immediately dove right in, trying to take out public workers' unions.
Why on earth would these guys care about the NFL?
The Packers are almost a religion.
I understand.
I say almost because the Packers truly exist. I've seen them. But
do you know that for sure?
I was there.
I mean, that may not have been the Packers. How did you know this?
I watched them.
They
were on TV last night.
But who told you they're the Packers? Maybe that's just another Green Bay team.
That's an even bigger mystery. Roger Goodell works in mysterious ways.
But either way, this is stupid that politicians that have big issues in front of them this election cycle.
It's pandering.
It's stupid pandering.
Well, I agree. It is stupid pandering because if you are pro, job creators and you are, screw the unions, you should have been all about what happened last night.
Well, I think, though, that what's happening here is people don't want to find middle ground. The unions have their uses, and they're good for certain things. And some things, I think they overstep their bounds. But to throw the baby out with the bathwater doesn't seem right.
Well, again, it's not just union busting. It's defunding the left is a big portion of it.
Well, I do want to defund you, personally. But that's just because, it's due.
Point being, this is, again, the only moral blank is my blank. Karen Santorum can go get, a problem pregnancy dealt with. And I don't want to make light of it because it's a shame and a tragedy, even for someone as horrible as Rick Santorum. But it's that same decision that he wants to take away. talk to women's clinic workers, and it is not an unrare sight to see that same face holding up a sign, holding up a placard, yelling at people, coming in the side door on a non-protest day, daughter in tow, and will be back the next week, yelling, screaming.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that people are hypocrites.
Well, people rationalize the only moral blank is my blank. I'm sorry, if you are decrying socialism in a rascal scooter that, Dan, you and I paid for,
sure,
I'm pretty sure I should be able to write you off. So hopefully, well, I do write you off. But
there are people. I do know a guy that has one of those scooters that we paid for, and they won't even let him put his own money into that thing to get a nicer scooter. So they do. It's kind of a crappy system. I would rather.
I'm not saying that the system is perfect. There's no such thing.
Yeah,
But to decry socialism while on Medicare, or even show up to protest socialized medicine when you're on Medicare, I
think we need an objective moral standard here. I think that the problem is that people operate from their own moral standards, and they're going to be hypocritical because when it applies to them, suddenly it's not so fun anymore. If you became a billionaire and you felt like people were coming after your money right and left, and you were just trying to hold on for dear life.
If I became a millionaire, people would come after my money,
absolutely,
left and right. Every creepy relative I met once back in 1984.
Easier. My point is, it would be easier for you to understand the problems of Mitt Romney. I'm sure he has his own problems.
I've never said that Mitt Romney doesn't have problems. My beef is Mitt Romney has tried to push his problems aside. I have your problems. My airplane window doesn't even roll down. I mean, come on. What's up with that?
That is weird because, they
say he was joking, but when you have to come out 24 hours later and say, oh, it was a joke.
Well, maybe he's used to flying around in like antique planes, like World War II planes that do have the roll down windows.
Yeah, I don't see Mitt Romney doing a bunch of wing walking.
Well, he is a wing nut.
No, he's really not, and that's we'll talk about that later.
Oh, he's crazy.
That's his. Well, the whole magic underwear thing aside, he's really not.
It's ceremonial underwear. I had somebody stop me because I used that, and then it's ceremonial underwear.
No, it's supposed to be imbued with magic properties. And
it's kind of like implied, like baptism or
you got milked before the meat. That's kind of the more cynical term would be lying for Jesus. But when you're bringing people in, so they tell missionaries, give them the milk before you give them the meat, because the meat's a little weird.
I think I don't know that applies to Christianity, but maybe for Mormonism. I mean, I think asking you to believe that somebody got raised from the dead and it's the very same person that spoke the earth into existence, that's pretty meaty, if you ask me.
No, I'm saying it's a Mormon missionary.
Yeah, but
when people start asking,
no, I asked. It's a Christian that had converted from Mormonism that explained it to me, and they said, actually, no, it's this, and so I tend to believe them because they have no credible reason for making it something it's not.
Did they ever talk about how most of those they've kind of come up with a version 2.0 taken from the Masons?
Oh, sure.
All right, so again, we're not trying to hide little bits, and that's.
Yeah, no, it's a weird religion. I mean, me and you, we're going to end up in spirit prison, and then they're going to come down after we've died and gone to spirit prison and witness to us again. So we'll have another chance.
Oh, cool. We can hang out with Barack Obama's mother and Anne Frank.
No, she will actually be in heaven because she's Mormon now. Because they baptized and laid hand on her posthumously, which has to be done so that she can fulfill the rest of the spirit prison journey.
Yeah, they have people stand. I don't want to get into the Mormonism, although they did baptize Barack Obama's mom. It's a little, even as a non-believer, that's a little insulting.
It's a little weird. Why? I don't really want somebody from some other religion trying to convert me.
I've seen Michelle Bachmann's church service.
Yeah.
Weird is a very all-encompassing
Crazy Eyes
term.
got her own problems.
But back to the lockout real quick before we take a break. I just wonder how many people have the sense of self to realize that they are bitching about this, and next time Chicago teachers go on strike, or public workers have their right to collectively bargain threatened, will they have the moment of self-awareness, or will the wingnuttery take over? I fear, just based on my experience with wingnuts, the wingnuttery tends to trump all. But again, it's funny for the FYIGM crowd. When it's their team getting screwed because of it, all of a sudden they're aghast. All of a sudden they're upset. And this is an unbelievable, unthinkable situation that must be dealt with immediately. But if we need replacement school teachers, that's perfectly fine. Like they literally care that there are replacements refereeing their football team's games. If it's, again, scab teachers or scab work in general, that they're perfectly fine. Doesn't affect me, so screw them all you want. Just stop the screwing when it interferes with the point spread or my weekly pool or the team that I enjoy. I've watched enough sports. Again, I'm not a sports guy. I'm a baseball guy. That's different. But you go back not all that long ago.
You're right. They're not athletes.
Yes, they are.
Oh, no, it's different. You're right. They're not
I'm going to
athletes.
have Barry Bonds roided behind come and whoop your ass.
Oh, whatever. He can bring it.
Hey, don't mess with Barreled.
They're not athletes. You can be fat and play great baseball.
You can't. It's a help in football. No, the point being, it wasn't that long ago that things like the reserve clause made athletes, subservient completely. We all want to talk about the A-Rod or the Pujols, $250,000 contracts. We're a generation removed from guys working in hardware stores in the off season. So remember, during the strike or lockout in '94, Turk Wendell of the Chicago Cubs is, throwing recycling bins. And that makes the front page of the Register. We're not that far removed from that. And if anything, sports fans more than any should understand the power of a good union and what it can bring to the table and what it can do for you. I mean, you'd have a hard time arguing that a strong players union has been bad for the NFL, bad for baseball. Hockey is bad for hockey. Then we're not going to count them, or even the NBA. Since the days of no power players, subservient to the owners, these leagues have done gangbusters. A lot of it with our help. We subsidize stadiums. In the case of Green Bay, actually own the team. They should be a case study on look at what a powerful union can do. Look at what a good union who works for its members can do. It's a $9 billion industry. Baseball is somewhat similar. I don't know what the exact number is. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. You have teams being sold for $1 billion. If anything, again, we sports fans should understand what a good union can do. And again, it's a cognitive dissonance that I can't get my mind. I can't split it enough. To be a fan of professional sports in America and be anti-union, it just does not compute. All right, 244-0077. Email me at radiobradshaw@gmail.com. And follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. When we come back, real quick on the Urbandale Casino that I don't think is ever going to happen. And what happens after Election Day? Again, the Schadenfreude edition of The Bradshaw Show. It's thebradshawshow.com and Webcast One Live. Be back right after this. Thanks for watching.
I'm just saying. 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 Ching ching. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Feeling alone? God knows and He understands. Chat now with someone who cares at groundwire.net.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Hi, I'm J. Michael McCoy, and about 20 years ago, I went to a used car salesman by the name of John Hewitt. He had a little shop over there on North 2nd Avenue called John's Auto Sales, and I bought a car. I found that experience to be one that I had never had before from a used car salesman. He was honest, he was dependable, he had integrity, and he did what he said he was going to do. Well, over the years, between my kids and grandkids, I purchased 7 vehicles from John's Auto Sales. And last month, I asked him to be a sponsor. And he said not only would he like to be a sponsor, but he would offer a $100 tithe for every customer that came and bought a car from him directly to the church of your choice. I can tell you about their huge selection. I can tell you about their years of experience. I can tell you about their honest integrity. But all I really need to tell you is that I bought 7 cars, and you can trust them. John's Auto Sales, 5435 2nd Avenue, Des Moines.
You need a good ride when you hit the trail. Trust the man with the cars, and he goes by the name of Big John. Big John. Big John.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
All right, Bradshaw with you here. 2:02 on a Tuesday afternoon. Is that Make-A-Wish territory? I think we got another 20 minutes. All right, so it popped up last night. Gary Kirk wants to build a casino in Urbandale. He wants, you know where the Golf Dome is on 8035? Well, seen it. It looks like a mini Metrodome. They want to take that area and develop it into a casino. Again, which is never going, well, I shouldn't say never, but isn't anywhere close to occurring. And I know it's making a big noise today. They want, this $150 million project. Now, maybe, I don't know, Gary Kirk has dirt on Jeff Lamberti. Where exactly did that cleaning lady come from? Why were those clothes in the SUV? Just saying. But this was the exact same argument we had a few years ago. God, it's probably 4 or 5 years ago now. When developers brought up the idea of putting a casino near Southridge Mall. Certainly an area that could use a bit of help. Or a cleansing fire. One of the two. I'm open. Again, I will never say a good thing about Southridge Mall until they reopen the water slides. And forget laser tag. That even brought our West Des Moines butts to probably not good for shopping. Something like wet kids in swimsuits and retail. Probably doesn't go well together, but it was such a novelty. I'm down with it. But forget, getting okay from Urbandale, which is yet to happen. The real hurdle is going to be the State Gaming Commission, especially with the folks from Polk County, you or I, owning Prairie Meadows, just a few miles away down the interstate. But every study I've seen shows that there is no new money to be had gambling in the state. At this point, just who will you be taking from? In the case of an Urbandale casino, you would be taking directly from Prairie Meadows, a.k.a. the people of Polk County. That's a bit of a hurdle. Would probably kill off Terribles. Don't call them Terribles. I don't know what they're. Lakeside Casino. Meskwaki is still doing its thing. Frankly, we have enough gambling in the state.
But isn't this a prime example of the FU I got mine?
Well, yeah, it's at some point you get diminishing returns. You don't want casinos to fail. Otherwise, why not just open it up Wild West style and may the best man live? And this is something when the original arguments for gambling in the state, when Terry Branstad was making the case in the 80s. For the lottery, it was always going to be tight and controlled, and there's going to be safeguards in place. The money's going to have to go, to charitable causes.
But don't you think having another casino close by would raise the standards of the casino we have?
No, I think they would do each other in. I mean, Prairie Meadows already has issues.
Sure.
That they've tried to address with, improving the restaurants and putting in a hotel.
Yeah, but I think the owners of Prairie Meadows,
us.
Yeah, I understand we own part of it, but the people in charge of the vision of Prairie Meadows need to take a couple more trips out to Vegas, because when you go to Prairie Meadows, and you've been to Vegas recently, like I have, it's almost laughable. I mean, we might as well put a pole shed up.
Yeah, but whether you go to Lakeside, when you go to the Diamond Joe, I mean, that's...
Actually, Diamond Joe's is a more Vegas-like atmosphere than Prairie Meadows. But yes, they're all pretty bad.
We're not, even, Tunica, Mississippi level.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad. It's bad when every other state that has casinos around us have nicer casinos.
Yeah, I don't know if there's that much money. I mean, honestly, I don't think we could, support.
Well, but then that leads to say, well, if they both shut down, then who cares? Won't that filter more money into our lottery system? Because those people won't have a venue.
Well, again, you reach the point of diminishing returns.
Sure.
If those casinos go away, would that pump, would you get dollar for dollar increase in the lottery? No. A lot of that money just simply wouldn't be spent, or would be spent on a Southwest ticket to go to Midway to then go to a real gambling destination.
What about the gambling, the problems with gambling, though? That also disappears, and a lot of the money that has to go to that disappears. I mean, the loser here is Polk County Schools. That would be the loser, I guess, if
and the Convention Bureau and all the, we got a nice little Wells Fargo Arena out of the deal. And
yeah, but, we already have that stuff now. So it's a big FU, I got mine kind of already thing. We're already there.
No, what's next? What do we build? I would rather have that money going to the people of Polk County than to Gary Kirk.
Yeah,
Gary Kirk got enough money.
But I mean, in the end, what will happen is Prairie Meadows wasn't opened by us; we acquired it, and that's the same thing that's going to happen out in Urbandale. So it is kind of.
Well, no, we're not going to acquire this one. This one's going to be privately held, and they'll go through the typical. They'll have the non-profit charity attached to it, like we do.
That's what they said about Prairie Meadows.
No, that's what they do, and that's what you have to do to have a casino.
Yes, I understand that. I'm saying though, I don't think. I think the way our government is going, it's inevitable that they'll have a hand in either one of them. So I don't know.
Well, no, I think no more so than they will any other. In fact, I would argue if you're going to have another Polk County casino, and maybe when the economy turns, you do. But there should be a group representing downtown Des Moines. There should be that, a Southridge. It should be put up. Where's the best place to put it?
I don't need that headache. Blackjack needs to be at least 30 minutes away from me for me to stay away.
Yeah, well, as someone who lives down the street from the Golf Dome, I'm okay with it not being there. I mean, I wouldn't want to. I'd move if they put it there. I don't know. I've never met someone who lives like in the areas around.
Well, they're all low income housing
Prairie
now,
Meadows.
most of them. I think there's actual nice houses in there, but
I think there's like
But there is a lot of-
subdivisions and neighborhoods, and
but there is a lot of low-income housing around there now.
yeah, I wouldn't want to live near that.
No, me neither.
So you're going to get the not in my backyard crowd, but that's an area that's still developing, and
But I think
doesn't
that's a
have-
better morally consistent attitude than what you were using earlier.
Well, no, I mean the market is saturated. Part of the Racing and Gaming Commission job is to support what we have, not run them out of business, not bleed them dry.
I would
We've
say,
reached
though,
the sation point, which to me says no more casinos. I don't have a moral thing against them.
yeah, but for me, I think you're wrong with we have a saturated market, because I think a lot of people view Perry Meadows as kind of out of the way, and I think if it was in town, it would be, like I think an argument for putting it downtown would probably be better than not having it, because I think there's a lot of people that don't spend money simply because you got to go out to Altoona and then you got to drive back from Altoona, and it's kind of a pain.
10 minutes.
Nobody likes Altoona. Let's just be honest.
All right, I'll give you that one.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people that don't go simply because it's in Altoona and it's it's kind of out of the way.
If Altoona is too far to go to get your gambling fix, thank you for being one of the people bringing about the future shown to us in Wall-E. Because if that's too much of a hurdle for you, you've got problems.
Well, I don't know that it's a lazy thing. It's just not as accessible. I mean, you might get people that stop home in Urbandale on the way home from work that work out there or live out there, rather than, I mean, Altoona it's still growing, and maybe in a while, I mean, with all the stuff going out in Altoona, maybe it'll be a more centralized location later, but it isn't right now.
No, I don't think it was meant to be a centralized location. I think it was meant to be it was meant to be a horse track, and that was all false pretense. But that's another topic for another time. Point is, there's no new money to be had. We haven't seen any population explosion. And while certainly the economic downturn hasn't hit Iowa as hard as other places in the nation, the Gaming Commission has made it very clear that at least for the next 3 or 4 years, there will be no new casinos built in the state of Iowa. So I don't know where this plan comes from, maybe wanting to be ahead of the game, but it's not going to happen. So, yeah, Gary Kirk got pulled, but I don't know if he's got that much. Real quick before we take a break, I saw this in the Washington Examiner today, right-wing rag. More than 20 conservative leaders and media figures, including Rush Limbaugh, Laura Ingraham, and Mark Levin, on Tuesday accused ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN of rigging coverage to help reelect President Obama. And it's signed by, Brian Brown from the National Organization of Marriage, and Gary Bauer, Brent Bozell, and kind of open letter to the media for daring to report that Mitt Romney isn't doing well. So I think I know one of the things we are going to see post-election, and that is a double down on the 2 minutes hate for the media in general. Don't call it the mainstream media, because then you'd have to include Fox. They are the most watched cable news channel. Although, did you see Rachel Maddow actually beat Hannity, for a week? First time ever. But according to arbiter of truth, Rush Limbaugh, and others, the mainstream media is guilty of painting conservative ideas as extreme, while refusing to report the disastrous consequences of liberal programs enacted since 2008. See, Rush, you got to understand that when, there's a legitimate extreme position taken by conservatives, the media just has a way of shutting that whole thing down. characterizing conservatives as cruel budget slashers instead of responsible officials trying to avoid a debt catastrophe. Yeah, how dare we report on guys trying to build rainforests in Iowa and why we might not think that their belief in the debt and the deficit are serious issues. Focusing on alleged shortcoming in Romney's business record instead of Obama's record as a failed executive. Pouncing on real and perceived missteps by conservatives, portraying them as bumbling incompetence, while suppressing embarrassing and incendiary remarks made by Vice President Joe Biden to prevent him from becoming a liability. Yeah, because that Chains remark never got on the TV. And okay, fine, you're on to us. It turns out Rick Santorum, Todd Akin, Michelle Bachmann are all actual super geniuses who we have taken out of context to make them appear like bumbling, incoherent fools. You caught us. But I saw even, mainstream, like Branstad-type conservatives claiming that reporting on poll numbers is now an evil media technique meant to discourage conservatives from voting. Like, this is the effect of living in kind of their little alternate reality. And in their world, everything's doing fine. Yesterday we talked about the unskewed polls. They've decided to unskew polls, they're simply going to create their own voter turnout model and give 80% of all undecideds to Mitt Romney. That's fair. That's unskewed, right? And magically, Mitt Romney has a 10-point lead everywhere. That's the truth. That's reality. Can you imagine what's going to happen to the true believers in this when Romney gets his ass kicked nationwide on Election Day? And again, I'm not talking about any individual poll, but when you look at, again, it's the Gallup 7-day trends, PPP, Wall Street Journal, NBC News, CNN, New York Times, all of these polls across America, all showing the same movements. And again, one will have a 6-point lead, one will have a 4-point lead. The point, it's kind of unanimous now. Even Fox News. Are you going to complain that they're in the liberal, rag racket? Showing Obama with a... I mean, this is what happens when you deny reality. These people are going to literally come unglued on election night. They've spent 4 years with such a hate-on for the president. He's illegitimate. He's the most awful anything ever. B-Rock, the Islamic shock, Soweto, Obama, Stalin, Hitler, Mao. Yeah, it's seeped into their pores. It's all they know. And while I do get amounts of joy and most certainly amusement in seeing what happens. Again, the same way I like to watch Brainiac, Science Abuse, Richard Hammond's old show, where they would drop potassium into a bathtub full of water to see what would happen. Mostly dropping campers and blowing them up. But as someone who drives on interstates, I'm completely down with that. Watching the reaction is, it's amazing. Like, I can understand being disappointed, disagreeing with the candidates, seeing, screw-ups. And I'm someone who certainly has no problems, calling out my own party when I think they're wrong. But I base it on something other than, nuh-uh, which seems to be all conservatives have. I don't know, is that a symptom of a party that is bereft of leadership, bereft of ideas? Can someone give me, a handy 5-point plan in which Mitt Romney's policies differ from George W. Bush's? I'd love to see it. But this letter, and it's a doozy. We, the undersigned, representing millions of Americans from our respective organizations, are now publicly urging our members to seek out alternative sources of political news in order to make an intelligent, well-informed decision on November 6th. It is time for the American people to turn off, or turn you who are offending off once and for all. You have betrayed their trust. Listen to me. I am the only source of truth and knowledge. And folks who have said that throughout history have always had good results. Now again, do you put out this sort of letter if you're winning? Not so much. But it is, again, fun to watch the death spasms of just what has become a party rotten to the core. And a movement that has been taken over by wingnuts, nut jobs, whatever nut word you want to throw in there pretty much fits. I, for one, will not miss them. But I will enjoy their tears. And maybe, just maybe, when the coming right-wing civil war, when it's ditto head versus the Hannitized versus whatever type of person finds listening to Mark Levin enjoyable, when all is said and done, maybe the fever breaks. Maybe they can get back to, rather than arguing about birth certificates and peacocking around about the debt and deficit they never gave one damn about while they were running things. Maybe they could get back to the business of, governing. Maybe folks with ideas could take a microphone away from Steve King to actually, do something. Spend less time renaming post offices and trying to ban things that don't exist in the first place. I know, novel concepts. But maybe we could get a farm bill that way. You realize the farm bill expires at the end of this month. Congress decided to take a couple months off. We don't need it. It's not like any drought relief will be necessary this year. Violence Against Women Act, I don't know, the little things that Congress should get on, but can't right now. Because it's the moonbats versus the wingnuts, and that is a fight that is spreading, much to my joy. I know one person who's not enjoying it, Mitt Romney. And real quick before we have to go here, I didn't get a chance to get to it yesterday, but we were talking about how, at what point is it not a coincidence that all of Barack Obama's political candidates self-destruct? Now, I'm pretty sure Mitt Romney never tried to bring Jerry Ryan to a sex club. So not all, explosions are created equally. But just keep an eye. I saw this ad today. Dad, can you bring up the Romney? That I don't normally play ads, but I think this one has, again, forget the content, but this has something to teach us. I have audio.
50 million Americans who don't have it today?
Well, we do provide care for people who don't have insurance. People, if someone has a heart attack, they don't sit in their apartment and die. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them care. And different states have different ways of providing for that care.
That's the most expensive way to do it.
Well,
in the emergency room.
Different states have different ways of doing that. Some provide that care through clinics. Some provide the care through emergency rooms. Look, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to have millions and millions of people who have no health insurance and yet who can go to the emergency room and get entirely free care for which they have no responsibility, particularly if they're people who have sufficient means to pay their own way. We pick them up in an ambulance and take them to the hospital and give them care.
Any governor knows emergency room care is the stupidest possible way to provide care to people.
All right, so like I said, the particulars of the ad aren't what's important is the fact that this is a position Mitt Romney has to have. Why? What was his crowning achievement as governor of Massachusetts? Because you probably could make, in kind of a center-right nation, the argument that I was a Republican governor in a blue state and here's what I accomplished and you should vote for me. That has mass appeal. Except for one group, the Republican base. His signature achievement was Romney Care. Yet, in a sane world, like somewhere right now, there is an alternative dimension where probably I'm a conservative talk host with a goatee, where candidate Mitt Romney and is running against President Hillary Clinton, but he's running as a centrist Republican who, reached across the aisle and, stuck with his positions from 1994. I'm good with gay rights and Roe versus Wade is the, law of the land. And that guy's probably running a successful campaign, which I'm sure makes the evil goateed version of me, who's a Cardinals fan, incredibly angry. But it's simply a position that Romney can't hold today because his base will stay home. They'll start, hanging more invisible chairs. And this isn't Mitt Romney leading the Republican Party. This is a Mitt Romney who is absolutely terrified of the know-nothing, mouth-breathing, do-nothing base of the Republican Party. Again, I would almost feel bad if this wasn't a monster that they created themselves. When things started to turn in 2006, dive to the right. We'll change the game with Sarah Palin. We don't run any branches of government. Let's fund a Tea Party. Let's just fire up a bunch of people to say the government should do nothing ever under any circumstance except for pay for their rascal scooters. Don't tread on me. Tread on the other guy. They've abdicated any leadership role to guys like Limbaugh, Beck, and Hannity, who aren't qualified to lead a 4th of July cookout. But woe is any Republican politician who upsets them. They've run candidates, who can win. They've rhino hunted them out of the party. They've kowtowed others. I mean, maybe the true death of the Republican Party started on the Daily Show when John McCain, right, who after his little problem with the Keating Five had, at least in the media, the friendly media to mavericks, changed his image to that of a maverick. In a stalwart conservative vote who would, occasionally throw up something that would ruffle feathers. And it was a very successful branding. Crystal Pepsi and New Coke were jealous. And after spending years cultivating this image, what did he do? Well, he was running for office, for Pete's sake. Sat down with Jon Stewart and was like, yeah, I'm going to Fundyland. Speaking of Bob Jones University, got to make a dive to the right. At that point, people realized that, the angry Tea Party, know-nothing voter was truly the one calling the shots in the GOP. Take the debt ceiling hostage, threaten the full faith and credit of the United States, perfectly acceptable, good plan. Michelle Bachmann, quality candidate. It is hard to feel bad for someone with the car elevator and a $100 million IRA. It takes me a while to feel bad. I almost feel bad for Mitt Romney. Because this isn't the campaign that he wanted to run. It's the campaign he has to run to even keep it close. Hell, yesterday Karl Rove was on Fox News saying, without Ohio, there are still paths to victory. Republicans writing off Ohio? Iowa's out of the swing state section now. It's a dead-end philosophy. Again, I won't weep when it's gone. But again, here's Mitt Romney having to not just run away from a signature accomplishment, which is actually popular in Massachusetts, but forced to, completely turn the other way around. Yeah, I almost feel bad for the guy. I would offer him the world's smallest violin, but I'm pretty sure he's bought a smaller one in his time. All right, I got to scoot. Email me, radiobradshaw@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/radiobradshaw. Or just go to thebradshawshow.com for all of your hilarity needs. All right, I'll be back tomorrow for the Hump Day edition. Hopefully we'll have Wi-Fi in here tomorrow. Much as I enjoy tethering off my phone. Thank you, Sprint, for having like one 4G tower downtown. Until then, I shall return 1:30 tomorrow. Thanks for watching The Bradshaw Show, thebradshawshow.com, here on Webcast One Live. See you tomorrow.